Alrighty guys, just a quick notice how to get into training mode. It's actually easy. You press the Y button, oh wait, kidding, F2 button, click this little thing. You'll get it after you reach level 30, part of the story quest, after you get the first artifact of the Ark. And what happens is you port to, I don't know, Asgard, is what I call it. Now this is probably one of the most awesome parts in the whole game. The entrance, you look at the lady, she looks at you, and here comes scenery by Somersault. I should never get sold, man. It looks awesome. Alright, so as part of the quest, and there's a funny few things here. You click the second option, go up, little loading screen, and here is where you can do several stuffs. Among them is maxing out all of your skills. Now this will take a little bit, in just a sec. And with this you can actually try out every single combination with monsters, without monsters, just the aesthetics. And what I will be showing you guys is very simple, is what the current skill set looks like for the Hawkeye. Now in this case I'm level 36, so I don't have all skills yet, but I will be showing you some quirks because I've been in this mode for quite some time, just to look around, feel around, see what it's like. So let's get it popping. There we go, all maxed out. And now we shall take a look at everything. Okay, so you have a few options. In this case I'll just summon a dummy. There we go, to just mess around with. Now one of the very first skills, you'll get this one on level 36, and I kinda dig this skill because it just looks fancy. Alright, now there's a few ways to get this, and what I mostly get from it is just pure damage. Now the best possible way to do this skill is like this. We got a stun variation, supposedly, and just to check it out, see if it actually does stun, let's summon a monster. Nope, actually doesn't. Crazy enough. Let's try it again. Let's get that one out of the way. Summon the usual monster. Oh, there we go. We got absolutely Nathan's hot dogs. Now, the reason why I love this skill is very simple. You can basically get yourself, let's get ourselves a puppet once again. What you can basically do is get yourself inside of a lot of monsters, and this skill basically has a certain pushback. So what you do is you pop in and then you pop out. Now the problem with this on this skill is if you go any other route, like this for instance, the skill is bound and you cannot change it unless you dash out. That is like the only way to do it. So that's for that skill. Second skill up is, I would say it's a funny skill. It's more of a PvP skill because it has less utility otherwise. Now what you can be doing is lowering the cooldown, and as you can see here it says F and then a 3. So basically you get a quiver with an amount of arrows, and these arrows will recharge. Now normally it's 8 seconds I think, and now with the cooldown it's 2 seconds to recharge. Now there's a very good thing with this, is that if you fire them 3 times, and let's see if I actually don't kill a monster right there. That's 1, gets a debuff, gets 2, second debuff, gets 3, and you get a stun. Now this seems like a very useless way to do it, but you can basically there shoot it, do something else, shoot it again, and then pop your last arrow. But here's a funny thing, It has some sort of a debuff, I'm not quite sure, I'm not Korean, so I honestly don't know what it does perfectly, but still, as you can see, I got a multitude of hits with this. If I do it like this and I stand in front, I can actually stun things. So if I do it like this, I stand close, I can actually keep stunning monsters, and the damage is actually, yeah, I don't like it for the damage, I kinda like it for the stun. But in all fairness, the range, you need to like really stand up close. So that's basically that skill. Now for the fog, I am not a fan of this skill. It's a debuff skill for some reason, and I honestly don't know what to do with it because I cannot read Korean. So yeah, make it bigger, but we can test it just for a second. There we go. One, this seems like AoE dot, and in all fairness, it kind of does more damage than I expected. Not bad. But this is the bleeding part. Bigger AoE. This seems not to do anything for me. Let's summon another one off the cooldown. Let's go debuffing. And there we go. Like, I was hoping for the smoke screen, for instance, would grant me immunities of some sort, but it doesn't, unfortunately. Once again, but then on the other side, this seems to do either damage or the debuff becomes greater. Let's do it again. Nothing real fancy that I kind of need to use, but maybe there's like a secret combination. So let's try out all several things that I can think of. So this is the dot, and honestly it does not do anything more than just that. Slow debuff, this will be the last that I'll try. It seems like it is doing something, but in all fairness, not really making me feeling like, oh, this is some special stuff, I like it. Now, next skill up is a Dagger Swing. Like normally on the Dagger Swing, it kind of looks like this, single swing. Now, once you get it up to maximum, you can actually get, haha, a double swing. And it's either bleed, some damage, or whatever, but you also have a similar way, but then you actually pop into hide. Movement speed goes up by a huge margin, but in all fairness, it's for 3 seconds, it only grants you movement speed, and if it's just for the hide, I am not quite sure if you like it. I would say this is more a PvP than a PvE skill. Now this next one up is one of my favorite skills in the game. It just looks awesome. I tend to use it for just about everything. But yeah, let's get to it. This is probably my most favorite part. Normally if you go the normal route, it does simply that. Let's get a monster with it, because if you max it out, you actually get an extra knockdown on this. And there we go. Works quite well. Now you can either go for movement speed, some evasion for what I can see, and basic damage and some, I don't know, let's try this out just for a second. And this will allow you to travel even further. Now funny thing is, if you get it to this part, you can actually fire another set of arrows. Now this is great for kiting, could possibly be good for PvP, but in all honesty, if you would perform this on a monster, it works just as neat. Go. So yeah, that to me is a very good skill, just for moving around. Is it worth investing points into it? Well, you just saw the damage right there. It is not bad, and it wasn't even on like maximum damage stuff. Let's see if I do it now. There we go, we got a dead character. So huge AoE and a huge get back. Now arrow rain is probably one of the very first skill that you should like maximize. Does amazing damage. Even for bosses, you can run around, it freezes, it stuns, it does about everything that you can want from it. So let's get it popping. So there we go. I got it down to the normal damage right now. Right side on the maximum increases the time that it's casted, or at least it seems like it. And this part seems to be an extra damage type. Now you have a fire attribute, which basically gives some sort of a burn, and you got some lightning, and we gotta love the lightning. Let's put it on for a longer time because it looks fun. Lightning. And there we go. Makes it quite easy, and yeah, like I said, does a lot of damage. The Landmine, honestly, I had to play around with this a little bit just to see if it is actually worthwhile. Normally the Landmine, if you don't have any points into it, it kind of looks like this. You just pop something down, yay, it takes a little bit of cast time. If something walks over it, yay, it explodes. But here's the thing, if you pop it down something, it has a small startup time, so there are ways to pop it and not pop it. Now if you put it up here, you can actually throw it further away, so it could maybe be used for combos or such. AoE can get increased like this, makes it a lot bigger, and I think, but let's check it out, a movement speed issue. Oh, this one actually gets stunned. Now honestly, a straight up stun until a landmine is definitely useful, especially if you can cast it from far away. So this could have some combo potential. Let's just see if I make the AoE either bigger or whatever happens to it. I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Okay, it gets both stunned and it leaves a fire trail. Is it good like that? I'm not quite sure. Let's see how this works on a boss, for instance, or a boss type monster. Now honestly, this is not a big monster boss or whatever, but let's get to it. Okay, so it stuns that guy if I summon a bigger one. Alright, this one most of the time doesn't get stunned ever. Yeah, well, let's say the flinch on that one is not quite bad. See it? Yep. So there is some immunity here and there, so you gotta take note of that. And let's see if it could actually multi-explode. Let's get another boss just for shits and giggles. Oh wait, this isn't a boss, this is a normal monster. And after this, you can actually pop a second one, which could be useful if you want to basically chain stun something. So let's say you want to have a bigger boss, you have a bigger AoE, and you just want to start this up, hit something, then you don't know what to do once again. Nah, I guess you cannot do as many skills as I would like. Let's see how many skills I can actually pop in between. Nope, not the way I want it. So let's see. So you cannot basically do anything else aside from just hit it and look at it. That is the sad part. Maybe, just maybe, there's a way to do this. Pop it. Then it pop it again. Not the way I wanted it, but let's see. Once again. So let's say F button. And it has to straight up hit as well. So honestly, it has some good quirks, but will it do whatever you want? Nah, honestly, no it doesn't. So would I use this? Hell no. Now this skill I tend to use a lot in terms of combinations. It makes it For early game, very easy, because with just the first 2 lines, which is, to my knowledge, 14 points or 20 points. Yeah, it's 20 points. My bad. You can actually either get a freeze off, which combines very well with charge shot, or you can get a bigger AoE. Now, this one also has a hiding motion. Now, hide to me does not seem to have any other quirks than what I've just showed you. Does it work on bosses? I absolutely have no idea. But like this, it seems either faster and, yeah, I don't know, maybe a little bit more damage penetration. I honestly don't know what the biggest difference between the 2 of them is. Let's get this one out of the way. Charge shot. Now, charge shot has a few quirks, and you could either love it or you don't. Also, this has a hiding capacity. So if you basically charge this up, you get into hide once you charge it, so people will not be able to see you. Now, would this be good for PvP? No. PvE, on the other hand, monsters are pretty stupid, so yeah, it could actually work. The movement speed buff, honestly not a fan, but this to me is one of the bigger parts of it, which is the higher startup frame. So 1, 2, 3, and then you can actually get a nice stun in. Let's kill this guy for no reason. And then I'm all out of mana. Ah, he killed himself. Nice. Alright. So that is it for the charge shot. I'm not sure what the difference between these 2 are, but I could honestly just check it out. For that, I may just want to use, because it seems like it needs a stack of some sort. So let's get a double stab in, or just one. Go from here. Okay. So yeah, here I'm just thinking like, oh, what could actually be useful with all of that? Now I'm into hide. And the movement speed honestly is not bad. It's a very good thing, but just think about it like this. We get charge shot. We can get this one into hide, and we can get ourselves into hide like this. You can do it like this. You charge up, you stay into hide, and you shoot it. You can basically just like shoot people from wherever you want, which is kind of crazy. Would that help in PvP? Maybe. Let's try something strange out. So I'm going into, wait, this is a boss. I don't want those. Let's just change it up to PvE. One single monster. We go into hide. He has absolutely no clue. He's fucking dead. I was hoping for it to either like knock down or whatever. I'm not quite sure which one could be which, but I think you get the point. Maybe that's worth trying out. 1, 2, 3, and this one is dead too. So pretty useless. Now, one of the most fun things in terms of sound would be this skill. I would either go for damage, I'm not quite sure what that is, or a bounce up. Could be good for PvP. Now you have a shield which could help you. You could change it to stun. The AoE gets bigger. Now normally, let's say it kind of looks like this, but then one shot. Now it shoots 3 times with this skill. But if you go into the AoE part, it looks like that. If you put this onto a monster, it is pretty good, and it stuns or flinches, but it does not work on everything. So that's something you either have to work on or whatnot. You could also do this with fire, and it works roughly the same. Hey, we fire, knock down in the building. Pretty fun to work with. Now the Somersault Jump has a few quirks of its own, which I want to explain even further, because I like this jump in terms of moving. it's very easy to get behind a boss because it doesn't collide with anything. It is very easy to like get out of AoE ranges, and the movement speed after is actually pretty good to get away from certain situations. Is this one necessary? Definitely not. Now there are a few ways that this thing works, but honestly I'm not a fan of getting it higher at in any form. No, I need one. So only at this part will it knock down. But if you look at it like this, it actually changes up. Then it gets an extra hit. Now, would this be good if you, for instance, go for damage on a boss like this? Potentially, yes. But here's the problem which I had with Hawkeye so far. I tried making like a melee Hawkeye, which is fun, but on hyping, it's ass. Like, it's hard, and it will probably get you killed along the way. And in all fairness, it did not seem to do as much damage than anything else. As for flinching though, if you look at the bar, I think it kind of pays off, but in all honesty, I'm not quite sure where to put this skill. Let's try it again. Decent flinching, but nothing too amazing. But with the hide you can actually play around and see whatever you can do with it. This skill, I would say it's actually pretty good, but only on the 2 lines, because this gives you an attack boost. Anything else on top of this would not make it better. It kind of looks like this, and it gives you a slight attack boost for what I can tell. That or attack speed bonus. Let's just check it, because now I have the attack speed boost. Yep, so this is an attack speed boost, which is great. Always useful to get it. Now anything else aside from this, I am not a fan. Because if you change it up like this, it gets a small bleed. And if you check it on terms of damage, not that much. If you check it compared to this, it's roughly the same. But honestly, did I put it onto full damage? No. I put it onto full AoE. If you check it onto full damage, then there are some big differences. Alright, off to the next skill. This is probably one of the most damaging skills within the game. So aside from the lightning shower or the arrow shower, you could pick either that or this skill. Now in terms of full damage, I'm not quite sure which one does the best, but this seems to be an overall icon for extra boss damage, which is great. So if you practically test it out, it looks like this. But if we tend to try this on bosses, for instance, of course I picked the one that will always stun me. Great. So about 15k does, I would say, a lot of damage. And if we check it out, if we change it up, it still does a lot of damage, honestly. 15k, something we could really work with. If we compare it to this, in terms of cooldown, it does about roughly the same, but this one is easier to cast, it's very fast, so definitely worth it. But if you change it up, let's see if it actually does more damage, because I'm not even quite sure. Just check it out. This guy's an asshole. Okay, 15k, nothing really super fancy, so this seems to be like the very appropriate way to do it. Yeah, this does about 17k in retrospect to like a 10k, which it did just earlier. Let's see if this actually pops it even more. Yeah, right around 70k, so either this or that are roughly the same. But if we check it onto bleeding damage, what the actual... No, it was actually not that much extra. Alright, so it doesn't really matter if you go this, that, or that, but the right side kinda ass, this one a lot better. Okay. Thank you. Now this skill has become one of my favorites. Usually I'm not quite a fan of like huge startup frames and whatever, but if you go straight up damage on a skill, normally it looks like this. There you go. Decent for AoE. If you get like a lot of monsters, oh wait, let's not summon bosses. Let's say lots of monsters. Let's make a few. And you want to kill them, you can just simply do this, and it kills nearly all of them. So kind of a useful skill, but you can change it up. Now you can either use it for straight up damage, or you could actually prolong the time that it's actually traveling, which is good. Now if you check it up to the other skill, the skill actually changes everything. Instead of a whirling thing, it will actually stick, which is great for bosses and boss damage. So what it basically looks like on a boss is this. And in terms of damage, it does about roughly the same as every other skill, but it is really easy to cast. And it flinches pretty well too. So like this, if we combine all of these skills so far, we are doing a pretty insane amount of damage. Now there's another skill which is pure PvP to my knowledge, and that would be this one, which is basically a bomb that sticks. May as well just equip the skill, right? A bomb that sticks, and it could stun other people. Now in terms of like utility, you could actually use this to stun combo people. Just pop your cherry, and then at some point do another skill and pop it into something else. Yep, we had to kill him, blow the bird up. So that is a fun way to do it, and we also have a bomb version of it, but I'm not quite sure how much damage it actually does. Let's check it out. Takes so long for it to blow up. Okay, that was pretty useless in my opinion. But let's see if we can change it onto like maximum damage. This takes such a long time. It's still only 8k, so honestly not really up to the expectations of like worth in terms of PvE. Now that actually did damage, but I'm not quite sure if that was just because it was a crit. And well, it does have a startup hit, I'm not gonna lie, could be good. Wow, this actually crits 15k damage, but now that did not crit. Right, now that is it for basically that skill, and we have a last one, which is a rapid fire skill, which I did like at some point at the very beginning because it looks fun. But let's just see what it can do. Now either you can get the second row on a buff yourself, like evasion or movement speed, but let's go straight up damage. Now normally it just looks like that, 3 shots. Change it up, 2 shots. Change it up once again. You get about a gazillion shots, which is fun, but it locks you into place. Like this. You cannot do anything else aside from that. So, is it good like that? Honestly, can't tell. Let's get this out of the way. Let's see whatever it does with a hidden character. It stuns, but that's about it. Let's do it again. And let's check it out if I can actually combo into it. Okay, fun thing, if you get hit into hide, you'll get slapped out of it. Good to know. Good to know. Alright. Well, with the extra shots, let's see how much damage it does, and we should be able to wrap up the video. That will be like every single skill that we've seen so far. Okay, with an extra crit, it did about 10k right now. Let's see once again. Not as much. Not as much either. So, let's see what happens with a double shot instead. Like, that one looks insane. Ooh. Wait, did it double pop crit? Wow, there's actually crits like all the time. Oh, these look like ferocious hits. Oh, here it says like it takes 2 hits, but it will 100% crit. Like basically on the very early levels, I can see this working out for people. But would it be worth all the points? Nah. But it looks good though. Like, it does a lot of damage, it's very fast, so